some estimates. We also approach state and federal government agencies, including the California Department of Insurance, the California Employment Development Department, State Disability Insurance, and federal government agencies as well, the Centers for Disease Control, the Social Security Administration, regional office here in San Francisco and in Washington, D.C. We ask for the information from disability advocates, academic researchers, especially Cornell University Employment and Disability Institute. We spoke with several insurance trade groups and service providers here in San Francisco, including Kaiser, UCSF, and several Ryan White service providers. This kind of information is generally not a part of HIV surveillance, so none of the people that we spoke with had the specific information that we were looking for. The number of people with HIV living into middle age and approaching retirement and Social Security eligibility has increased as HIV has become a chronic medical illness since the mid-90s when antiretroviral therapy was introduced. This is a nationwide phenomenon, and in San Francisco, the number of people living with HIV 50 and older has increased to 55% of the total. In 2004, 4,300 people, or about a third of the total number of people living with HIV were 50 or older. By 2014, 8,800 out of a total of nearly 16,000 people living with HIV were 50 or older, or 55%.
And I think that is a really important point, not just for this issue, but in general in terms of our approach to HIV, that the percentage of people 50 and older living with HIV has basically doubled in the last decade, and the face of this epidemic is shifting over time. We see it in terms of general demographics, but also in terms of age. So I think it's really important as we think about how we approach the epidemic to understand that it is it's shifting.
And I'm going to get to some of those shifts in just a moment. Another way to look at the aging of the population of people with HIV is to compare HIV surveillance age groups below 50 and above 50. The proportion of people in each group below 50 decreased between 2004 and 2013, while the proportion in each of the age groups 50 years old and older has grown in the same period. The largest growth in the 65 or older age group has grown by 282% since 2004. And there are differences in the demographic profile of older and younger people with HIV. African American and Native American proportion of people living with HIV are about the same above and below 50, but there's been a substantial increase in the Latino and Asian Pacific Islander proportions below 50. Latinos are 12% of people with HIV who are older than 50, but 21% of people younger than 50. Asian Pacific Islanders are 3% of people older than 50, and 7% of people younger than 50, while whites are nearly 70% of people over 50, but are only 56% of people younger than 50. This change in the racial and ethnic profile has happened as people of color have begun to make up a majority of more recently diagnosed cases. Differences in the ethnic and gender composition of the population, 50 and older and below 50, may have implications for the design of outreach and service delivery as the population continues to age and people with private insurance, private disability insurance, who have not used public services in the past turn to Ryan White and other city services for the first time when their disability insurance expires. This is another way of looking at the changing racial and ethnic profile of people with HIV, showing the concentration of whites, mostly men, mostly gay men, among older people living with HIV in blue, and the large proportion of people of color among younger people with HIV. Again, white men have been the largest proportion in San Francisco since the onset of the epidemic. They comprise an even greater proportion of people 50 and older, reflecting again a combination of the larger proportion of white men in the early years of the epidemic with different patterns and more recent diagnosis. There are also differences in the demographic profile of the general population of people with HIV and people who receive Ryan White services. Ryan White funded services are generally available to people with incomes at or below 400% of poverty. It's our understanding that most people who receive Ryan White services in San Francisco are well under 400% of poverty guidelines. White men make up a smaller percentage of clients in the Ryan White program, which serves a great number of people of color and women than are the general population of people with HIV. Then again, these demographic differences might have implications for how programs are designed and how outreach is conducted for people who have not used public services in the past. As I mentioned,